So I'm going to show you first use of what's called the color guide. And let me just put everything back to where you're going to hopefully have everything. What you want to do when you come to class, if you haven't experienced this already, is people are going to drag windows out, panels and panes out, toolbars out. And what I'd like you to do is just reset everything when you get here, and then drag out your own panels. We could talk about making our own workspaces in a class or two, but I don't like sort of customizing things when you're not sure what you want to work with all the time. I mean, really, we customize our workspaces when we're familiar with what we want to do. So what do we want to do today? We want to work with color. In the upper right-hand corner of our screen, we're going to have our palette bar, toolbar of palettes, and on the right side we have, sorry, on the top of that, on the top of that we have something that says color when you click on it. That's this interface, and behind that you have the color guide, which you could also get to through this thing right here. Okay, color and color guide, the top two clicks. Now, I want to talk about color guide first, and then we'll talk about sort of colors is a little more straightforward, doesn't need as much explanation. I'm going to go back to that. Color guide is a very interesting sort of heart of a lot of the color manipulation that you can do in Illustrator. What it gives you is a set of colors that have a relationship to the color you have selected. So, for example, if I come down here and, let me just leave color guide open here. To leave something open, we're not going to see that change. To leave a palette open, right, I kind of want to work with color guide right now. And as soon as I do something, it goes away to preserve my screen space. And by the way, what I just did, people, is I pressed the letter F on my keyboard to toggle through different screen states. If you don't want to see what's behind your work here, you press the letter F in that sort of full screen mode, and then full screen without any toolbars, and then back to the first. Okay, so color guide, I don't want to have pop back in every time I click somewhere because I want to work with it. In order to keep it out, what you can do is click on the name up there and just drag it out. Okay, and it stays out. And now when I click somewhere, color guide stays out, but that other drawer sort of docks back in. Okay, so now we have color guide. Notice that when I click on different colors, they appear right here. Okay, I'm clicking on different colors in my picture, and they appear right here. And now that spot right there is what's called the base color. And the base color, when set, gives you a bunch of colors that are related to it. And we'll talk about how we can set relations in a second. So here we have a base color. I kind of, yeah, let's go with that. You click on that right there, the base color, and then you get colors that are related to it via different rules. And the rules are available right here. What are these rules? Well, they're a little designy and in their naming, but if you want to see what they're doing, how these colors are related, so we know what a color wheel is?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have available to us, and we'll be working in this in a little bit, we have available to us a color wheel that shows us where our colors are within the color wheel. Now, I'm going to show you this, the sort of manual way to recolor first, and then I'm going to show you sort of how to recolor everything according to those rules sort of automatically. Okay? And you can set up your own rules, and I'll show you all these things. But it's saying, here's my colors now, and here's what I'd like them to be. So right now I'm saying, here's my color now, right? And to say, here's what I'd like it to be, I can click over here into any of these tones, and it'll change. I can also not going back and forth, click, 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 click. I'm kind of lazy. I prefer to use the click and drag method, where you find a tone you want, and you just click and hold down, and then drag it out to where you want it, and then let go. Okay. So this way, you can really sort of be precise in setting up tones and their relationships to each other. And I'm sort of using sort of darker and darker tones to make this space seem contoured. Okay. And that's from this area down here, not up here. Clicking and dragging, or just clicking back and forth. That's how you apply colors from your color guide. Okay? Now, that's kind of slow. It's very precise. You really get to control things. You create images that are sort of unified in color cast or tonality. I can create, and I'm not going to go through making this whole thing, but right now I added some sort of bluish hue here. Is that blue? Have I told you guys I'm red-green colorblind? I actually can't see any of these tonal different places, so know it theoretically. This is blue, right? Yeah. So when you have that blue teapot, it's you know, emotionally different than, say, a yellow teapot, as we were saying. Is this yellow? You guys do yellow.
Professor, you're colorblind?
Yes. Red-green.
You're an art teacher.
I'm an artist. I'm a color photographer. Dig that.
Wow. That's actually cool. Yeah.
It's actually one of my friends. It's so much easier when you're just working with numbers. I mean, it's numbers. Numbers, right? Colors are numbers. I should cut this from the video. Okay, so here's emotionally very different, though, right? You see this very bright, very cheery teapot, as opposed to this sort of darker and more foreboding teapot, just by changing a couple colors there, right? Okay, so let me bring this back to bland. I find myself wanting to change things in a much more radical fashion, just to see how things change, and see what the effect is. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to select all the tones right now. I'm going to select every path. I want to change everything. And now what I'm going to do is come back down to this. For me already. Come back down to this circle right here, and when you have path selected, right here I was on this edit color circle before, right? When you have path selected, this button right here in our color guide panel, right? It's sort of, I'm sure there's a place for it in a menu. You can find it too. It's called Edit or Apply Colors, and what it does is it brings open not this display, which is our sort of color wheel, and we can still work with this and change our colors, which is very interesting to do and very quick to change. But instead we come here to this Assign panel. And in the Assign panel, we can reduce the number of tones we have and then assign them different colors. And we do that by coming here to where it says Preset. Oops, I just clicked in the wrong place. And maybe change this to 3 colors for now. We're going to now have 3 colors. We've changed all of our colors. Here's all the colors that we have in our original rendering where we're sort of sampling. A lot of colors. And now here are the colors that we're using with different tonalities. So we're reducing our colors. Say I don't actually like this yellow. I want it blue, right? I want to have a blue there. So I'm going to click on that and give myself myself a blue. I'm going to go with sort of another hue there. So now I have very quickly changed all the tones. Now, honestly, I'm surprised I can't do this. Now, sort of gyrate through this color wheel and very easily see the sort of emotional, relational differences that we were talking about with colors, right? So now I've created, as you can see, a bunch of colors that are almost the same, slight differences in tonality, and I'm just seeing how when I pull around this color wheel, things change, right? So the point of this is that now you can take your objects and assign them your emotional relationship to them via color, right? So I've done this, I'm like, oh, tea makes me sad, or feel kind of royal. Is that purplish, bluish? Yeah. Kind of a sad, cool tea. And so I did my teapot. Now, I should have cut this, and I'll cut it up on YouTube. This is really the next segment. Once you have your colors set up, once you have your paths that you've drawn, and you've done your colors and your different files, what you can do is simply select all your paths, copy them, and then bring it into your self-portrait by pasting. And what I like to do is paste in front. So there's my teapot. We know how to resize things. We know how to move things around. And now I have my teapot and this kid. Maybe I want to change the kid to be another set of colors. Let's make these bright. So what I'm doing now is another way to assign colors, just FYI, is each of these, let me bring this down actually, just so you can really see this. Let's do 3 colors. So here I have everything in this set of paths reduced to 3 colors in the assign section of our recolor. Right? Now, if I come over to this edit, those, well, that was one those colors are represented by 3 circles. Now, I'm not sure why there's more than 3 circles here. I'm calling that a bug. CF6, I messed up. And you can change what colors you're assigning to by as I said, moving one of these circles. If everything moves together, you're sort of reassigning everything. I don't want to bring everything down to blue. I just want to sort of bring this color over there. I can, what I say, unlike my color and bring it over and make up my own sort of relational rule here. And you can see that what I'm doing is assigning groups of my colors to different new colors. I'm saying, was something should now be something else. Does it look good this way? No, I'm not following any harmony rules. I mean, that's not what you want to do. It's actually good to sort of pick a harmony rule and then work with it. That's a weird path there, isn't it? It's always good to, once again, keep your images together in groups. What I just did when I copied and pasted this, I thought I had a group before. It's always worth having things grouped or in layers, as I said before. Otherwise, things are going to get very messy very quickly. So here I have a bunch of other paths. I'm going to turn those into groups. So people, this is the first of what I want to show you today as far as color goes. There's a whole other set of things we could do with